from the castle gates to bedtime tales, laughs on the road and the monorail meet up on Main Street. Oh, Epcot to raise a glass and clink, telling old trip stories over one more drink. DisDad intro, here we go, talking parks, kids, all the magic we know. DisDad intro, hit play, let's start the show. Hey, DisDad intro.
Welcome to DisDad Intros, the show where we get to know the voices, stories, and Disney passions behind the DisDad Club. I'm your host, Justin West, fellow dad, Disney fan, and proud member of this incredible community of fathers who love their families and maybe just happen to love a good Dole Whip too. This is DisDad Intros. Let's meet today's guest, Colin Carroll. How you doing today, Colin?
Good. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. I'm doing fine. I'm glad that you were able to join me here. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here.
People will be excited to learn more about another one of our fellow dads. So,
Awesome.
why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your family and kids and stuff?
Yep. So originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. So, born Canadian. About, I guess, 25 years ago now, I moved down to the U.S., to Pennsylvania. So I was working for Hershey up in Canada, and they transferred me down to Hershey, Pennsylvania. So I worked there for 20 years. And then about 6 years ago, I relocated out here to Denver, Colorado. So that's where I'm at now. So dual citizen, both Canadian and U.S. So that's an interesting place to be, when we're having conversations and stuff.
Oh, sure.
I have, my wife, Kelly, and I have 3 children. My daughter, Taylor, who's 28 now, and I have twin boys, Matthew and Nicholas, who are 24. Matthew's still at home with me. Taylor lives nearby, and Nicholas actually lives in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
So that's interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So what do you do for a living now there in Colorado?
Yeah. So I most of my career, almost all my career, I've been in supply chain. So starting with Hershey and then transitioning out here. So I currently work for a company called Danone. I managed transportation there. If you're not familiar with Danone, think of Oikos yogurt, International Delight coffee creamers, Silk almond milk. So we're big into the dairy industry. I've kind of done the transportation management thing for about 15 years now. It's been a while that I've been in that field. So that's what I'm doing out here in Colorado.
Cool. I've got a kind of a tangential type career myself. So
Yeah.
we have some side conversations about trucking and all that fun stuff one of these days.
Yeah, I'm knee deep in trucking, and I have been for quite some time. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Colin, where did you discover the DisDads group, and how long ago was that?
It's interesting because I actually started researching that because I was trying to think, it's been a while, since I originally was introduced. So I looked back, and it was around 2010, actually, 2011. I was on the Diz boards a little bit, and, I was posting and communicating with a few of the dads at the time. And I remember in 2011, I was on a trip with my daughter, and I met one of the dads at Animal Kingdom. I think his name was Ron. And then fast forward about 4 years later, I was trying to go to DDC. I think it was 3, maybe it was 2015. And I was running the Dopey that year. And I got sick at the same time. So I was a mess, for like the 4 days I was there. So I never got to meet anybody. Although I was scheduled to go to a couple of dinners, I think at that time. And then, DDCC 7 is where I actually started meeting everybody and so on. But really my first interaction with the DisDads group was way back in like 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been around a while. That's
Yeah.
a common thing theme. Guys who have joined tend to, for the most part, stick around.
Yeah.
There's people go through different seasons of life, and it doesn't always stick for everybody. But I'm glad that everybody that I get to talk to has been part of the group for so long, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a fun group of guys.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like once you really get involved, you don't leave, because it's so much fun and you meet such great people.
Yeah. So you mentioned a trip with your daughter. When did you first go to Disney?
So myself, I first went to Disney. I'm going to age myself. Way back in 1976 was my first trip. There was just the Magic Kingdom, obviously, then. And I remember I took a trip with my parents to St. Petersburg, and we drove in and spent the day at Magic Kingdom. So that was my first trip. Made a couple more, when I was in my teens. And then I think really when I started getting in my 20s is when I started going a lot more frequently, every 2 or 3 years. And that's where, once I had kids, then it was all over. Then I started going, all the time. Yeah.
Sure. I had a few trips when I was growing up, but I didn't really fall in love with it until I got to experience through my children's eyes. So
yeah.
When did you think? Then would you say that you got the bug that Disney hooked you?
Justin, I would say it was like right in the beginning. Honestly, like the first trip, I remember just being fascinated with Disney World, and I remember like buying all these books and like even after I went home, I would just read books about Disney World, and I was just fascinated with it as a kid. I remember buying, I don't know if you remember the old Steve Birnbaum books, the Disney guides. I would buy those every year and read them.
For sure. Cool.
So my love for Disney, really started from the first time I went there. It was just one of those places that just, I felt like just was magical and just captured me. I always tried to get back there as much as I could. And I've been fortunate, the past, I'll say maybe 10 or 15 years to be able to go there quite a bit.
Yes. Awesome. So do you have a favorite memory, or does one or two memories really stand out to you?
I would say, I thought about this, and I'll give you a little background on why this is my favorite memory. My daughter, when she was born, probably for about the first 5 years of her life, was very sick. She had a lot of issues with her kidneys. We were in and out of the hospital. Like, we knew the ER staff by name. It was a really rough 5 years. When she was about 4 years old, we planned a trip to Disney World with her. Got close to the trip. She ended up in the hospital, and we had to delay it. So we eventually went when she was about 5. And I think that trip is my favorite memory of Disney, because I saw her, she was so happy. She was so happy, and she had struggled so much for like the years leading up to that. And, I remember her on that trip just singing, laughing. I remember one memory, it was downtown Disney at the time. We were just walking around, and she was just dancing and singing. And that trip always sticks with me, because it was kind of, I saw how Disney really impacted her and her life, and how, it gave her some happiness in a time where really she didn't have a lot of happiness. So that's definitely my favorite memory.
That's great. So through your visits and whatnot, have you decided on a favorite park that you like to visit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Epcot. Especially as I've gotten older. I think Epcot has a lot. It has rides if you want to do them. It has good restaurants. It has good drinking establishments. It kind of has everything as an adult that I enjoy. Rides have sort of become secondary to me as I've gotten older, and it's just one of my favorite places to go. Have dinner, have a few drinks, have a few laughs with some friends. So I think Epcot to me, is definitely my favorite. I think Animal Kingdom is a close second. But I think, Epcot is definitely the park that I always try to go to when I'm there.
It's to me, if I'm not in the hub watching the fireworks in Magic
Yeah,
Kingdom, then I always want my night to be ending at Epcot.
yeah.
That's typically it.
I
Just
love ending the night there. Yeah,
it's just relaxation, and so I'm often wishing that it was open just another hour or two.
exactly. Exactly. It closes way too early.
Yeah. So, well, you mentioned Epcot have good restaurants and
Mhm.
whatnot. Do you have a favorite restaurant at Disney, or you could break it down to food item, drinks, whatever? It doesn't have to be one.
Yeah.
Expand upon that.
I mean, for me, Via Napoli always has a special place for me. As I went on family trips, that was always the restaurant we went to. The kids always wanted to go there. They always got their picture with the pizza in front of them. And even as an adult, it's still a restaurant. I'm a big pizza guy, and it's always the restaurant I try to go to. So I think from a restaurant perspective, it's probably that. As far as drinks, like I'm a bourbon guy. I love old fashions. I found the new, banana old fashioned at Wailulu, and I love that drink. It's one of my favorites. I try to. I think it might have been Mike or somebody else who had said like they love all the different old fashions at Disney, and I do too. And I actually have a list, and I'm trying to
Nice.
knock them all off the list. But I
I've
think
heard
the
I've heard
banana.
good things about that one at
Yeah,
Wailulu. That's on my list of things to try
yeah,
next time I'm down.
yeah.
So
We went to Dahlia Lounge too this last trip, and I'd never been there. And they brought us out a sampling of old fashions, and they make some really good ones there. So I'm anxious to go back there and try some.
okay, now I'm getting thirsty. um, so then, if you could change or bring back one
Yeah.
thing at Disney, what would that be?
I think somebody else this might have been what somebody else said, but I was always and I was always and still am a big fan of Disney at Christmas. I haven't gone around the holidays as much over the past 5 or 6 years. But for me, the Osborne lights was huge. I loved the Osborne lights. We used to go a lot in December, early December, and we would most nights be at the studios watching the Osborne lights. So I wish they would bring that back. And obviously they can't bring it back where it was, but in
Yeah,
some format somewhere, I would love to see something like that come back because that to me, that just was that brought the holiday spirit to me. And it was really, something I enjoyed doing over
I,
at the
I
studios.
I think I only got to see it once, and
Oh, really?
it might not even been a full effect at when I saw it. But yeah, it was so cool, and that
Yeah,
would be something I'd love to see happen again.
yeah.
So you mentioned Christmas. Is that your favorite time to visit, or is there another time of year that you prefer?
I mean, obviously DDCC is probably my favorite time of year now. But I would say, yeah, the holidays are a close second and always were my favorite time. We would always try to take a trip in early December. I think, years ago that was a really quiet time there. But I love the holiday lights and the parades and and just the holiday spirit there. So December is really a great time to go. I went once over Christmas, and it's insanity with the people there. So I prefer maybe a couple of weeks before that, but I would say mid to early or early to mid December is probably a great time for me to go there. But I
Cool.
think that's sort of transition now. My favorite time is DDCC.
Awesome. So speaking of DDC, you said maybe 7 is about when you start. How many of them have you been able to make it to?
So I've been to every one since 7. So I even went
awesome.
to the COVID year when not a lot of us went.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to make it to every one since then. I think once I went to 7 and got to know everybody, and then I went to 8, and I was like, okay, this is a trip I want to try to prioritize every year. So I've been fortunate to have been there every year since 7.
Awesome. So will you be at 15 then again?
I will. Yeah,
awesome.
I will.
Well,
It would probably take something pretty major for me not to be there moving forward. It's just one of those things that I really look forward to, and got a lot of great friends in this group, and I don't see them except at that time. So I try to make it a priority to get there, so I can eat and hang out with them.
That's great. It's been a few years since I've been able to make it, but I'm on lined up to go, and
I remember, was it 10 the last one you were at?
That's the last one I was able to make it. The stage of life I'm at with my kids, it's hard to get down there too often that time of year, but another handful of years and that'll probably change a little bit for me, but it's always a treat to get down there, and I love doing this, getting the opportunity to talk to the guys and whenever can interact, and some obviously everybody's going to have a few people that they vibe with a little bit more and are closer with, but it's always fun to get the whole group together and share stories and stuff like that. It's good time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any trips planned between now and then?
I actually don't. This is probably the first year that I haven't gone, between DDCCs in a long time. I've just got a lot going on this year with some other things I'm doing. My son's in Alaska, so I'm trying, I've tried to prioritize trips there. I just got back from Alani. So I kind of have done some other things this year as opposed to going to Disney World, but this is probably the first year that's happened.
Tough consolation prize there.
Yeah.
Well, no, well, at least you got that to look forward to. It's not that far off,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So outside of Disney, do you have any hobbies that you enjoy?
I do. I really love to play golf. I don't do it enough. I think a couple of years ago I was golfing a lot, but the past couple of years I haven't golfed that much. I've really gotten into bourbon. Like I'm member of a bunch of online groups. I've got some local groups here that I follow. Like I'm trying to really learn, about tasting bourbon and all, trying to really get into it. And it's something I really enjoy. And I think, above everything, I love to travel. Like most of the guys, some of the guys will make fun of me, like you're never home. My wife and I, it just seems like if we get any bit of disposable income, we book a trip somewhere, even if it's a quick trip, or we love to travel. It's just, I love seeing new places. I love just being out there and doing things. So I sort of can, I guess it's not really a hobby, but it kind of is a hobby. It's something I really enjoy.
Cool. Well, give your pitch right now. Give me the pitch to guys who haven't maybe come to the DDC since you came. You kind of you weren't there from the beginning of them, and you were able to. You came and you met people, and you were able to make friends, and you just keep coming back. So, what would that pitch be?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, guys know I'm not the most vocal person in the world. I'm not the most outgoing person in the world. But I took a shot at DDCC 7. I knew no one. I showed up at the airport, met Michael Perry. We went to the house at the time, and I met everybody, like just no one I knew. And it's really grown into my best friends are in this group now. Like we've taken cruises together. We chat regularly on Facebook. I've got a group of dads that we go to the Vero Beach every year. It's really taken me from somebody that was, I still am kind of an introvert, not kind of, I am an introvert. But it's really given me a great set of friends that I enjoy being with, and that I now do trips outside of DDCC with. If I'm in the area, I try to make sure I see everybody. So I always encourage people to take that chance and go, because you'll never know when you might make some lifelong friends, that you never would have met otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many different personalities.
Yeah,
There's bound to be a few guys at least that you can find even more commonalities than just being a dad and loving
absolutely.
Disney and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I found that with this group, and I would encourage others to take a chance, because you'll probably find the same thing.
yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself. So love that. So
Yeah.
before I wrap things up here, I used to just spring this on people without it even being in the question list, but
Yeah.
I think that this one is one that people might have to think. So I put it at the bottom of the question list. So hopefully you had a chance to think about this. But can you tell us one interesting fact about yourself that maybe the other guys in the group might not know?
Yeah, I thought about this a little bit. And I don't know how interesting it is, but I used to be, a pretty accomplished drummer back in the day. I used to play drums a lot in high school and through college. And I don't know how many guys know that. But it was interesting, I'm going to age myself, and many people may not know who this band is, but I've actually played drums with a gentleman named Jerry Mercer, who was the drummer for April Wine, a Canadian rock band. So my
Okay.
Canadian friends will get that. And I think that's a really, that was a really great point in my life, that I got to play, drums with a professional drummer, of a pretty, significant rock band in Canada. So I think that's kind of a cool fact that I got to meet him and play drums with him.
That is pretty cool. Colin Carroll, rock and roller. Who would have
Yeah,
known?
yeah. Oh, I could show you pictures of myself, and you wouldn't even know it's the same guy. I actually had hair back then, so.
Yeah, hey, I did too at one point.
Yeah.
I hardly remember that, but that's what pictures are
Me
for,
too.
right?
Me
So
too.
awesome. Well, Colin, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Yeah,
It was a great conversation. Love getting to know you a little bit better, and hope that everybody else is able to do the same, and then sign up. I post all the time. Well, not all the time. I try to post weekly. Sometimes when I can schedule out time to talk to folks, and if they don't mesh up with times that work for you, feel free to just reach out to me, and we'll get scheduled. I want to be able to talk to each and every one of you. So, Colin, thanks again, and I've been Justin West, and this has been another DisDad Intros.
thank you.
From the castle gates to bedtime tales, laughs on the road and the monorail. Meet up on Main Street or Epcot to raise a glass and clink, telling old trip stories over one more drink. DisDad Intros, here we go. Talking parks, kids all